Scruffy Tales presents Snow, a Bim Puff adventure, read by Sarah,
Fema, Jordan,
and Isabel.
It had been snowing all night. It had been snowing all day. It had snowed all of yesterday. It had snowed so hard that the snow had whited out the windows, and Bim Puff couldn't see outside. He sat by the white window, pressing his nose against it, enjoying the cold and wiggling around so that the smudges and smears of nose grease decorated the cold glass. Groovis noticed what he was doing and came over to lick them off. Now there was dog slobber on the icy window, and it looked so appetizing that Groovis just had to lick that off too. Then Groovis noticed a wonderful thing. The more he tried to lick it off, the more of it appeared, until the whole window was frosted with frozen dog drool. Then Bim Puff discovered that he could scratch out pictures in the drooly ice. He drew beautiful, intricate pictures of people ice skating and sledding, building snowmen, and having stoneball fights. Then he and Groovis admired the pictures and wished more than ever that they could go outside. Finally, the snow stopped. Bim Puff was very anxious to go outside, but to make Mama Bim Puff happy, he put on 6 pairs of socks, 3 sweaters, 2 coats, 1 muffler, 3 hats, 2 pairs of gloves, 1 pair of mittens, and his tall rubber boots. Even Groovis put on his snowsuit and galoshes. When they were finally ready, Bim Puff tried to open the door, but the snow was piled so high it wouldn't budge.
We'll have to go out the window, Groovis.
He slid open the window and was confronted by a wall of whiteness.
I guess we'll have to dig our way out, Groovis.
Bim Puff smiled.
This is gonna be fun, Groovis. You go first.
Okay.
Groovis began to dig a tunnel into the wall of snow. As the tunnel got bigger, Groovis crawled into it. But there was a problem with where to put the snow.
I know. Let's eat it.
So as Groovis dug, they gobbled up the snow. But soon they became tired of the taste of plain snow.
I know. I'll squeeze some of this on it.
He smelled it first, just to make sure it was still good. His eyes began to water, and his nostrils burned like he had stuck a lit match in his nose. He had pulled an old bottle of Duggar's famous Dinglewort drizzle out of his pocket.
Watch out, Groovis!
He squirted the Dinglewort drizzle into the tunnel.
But Mama Bim Puff told me never to eat the yellow snow.
Don't worry, Groovis. This is good for you. It's very fortifying, full of vitamins.
Ooh, prickly.
Groovis grunted and began to dig faster.
You're right, Bim Puff. Duggar's Dinglewort drizzle is fantastic. I feel fabulously fortified. I could dig 50 tunnels just for fun.
So they dug and ate and dug, so they had a nice, long tunnel.
Let's dig up and see where we are.
They angled their tunnel upwards until they broke through at the surface. The first thing they noticed was how bright the sun was. The sky was clear blue. The snow was so high that all they could see were the upper branches of the trees sticking out. They were white and sparkling as if they had been sprinkled with diamond dust. The air was crisp as a frozen apple. Bim Puff and Groovis opened their mouths to inhale the fresh, delicious air. A door opened in the tree nearest them, and Darvasina stuck her head out.
Hi there! How nice of you two to drop by and see me.
Darvasina was grinning. Her breath made white clouds in the frosty air. Bim Puff was about to say something, but suddenly Darvasina was no longer visible because they were inside their tunnel again, sinking rapidly. They were going down like an express elevator which doesn't stop till it gets to the ground floor. Then suddenly a blast of warm air which smelled enticingly like an overripe moldy cheese came up from below and sent them flying up again into the air.
Whee!
Hello again.
Darvasina said as they emerged from the hole.
I'd wondered where you got to. I wanted to ask you.
They couldn't hear the rest of what she said as they were falling again, down through the deep tunnel, unnervingly fast. Just as they were nearing what must be the bottom again, they were blasted up again on a jet of warm, putrid air, which reminded them pleasantly of Grandma's old sock pudding.
Ah, there you are again. You know, it's very hard to have a conversation when you two keep bobbing up and down like a couple of whack-a-moles. I just wanted to ask you if you'd seen my...
Darvasina's words were lost in all the yelling and blotted out by the thick walls of snow they were descending into.
Not sure I'm liking this anymore, Bimpuff.
This time they landed with a plop on the soft ground, and it was not the soft blanket of cold snow that they had been expecting. It was warm and squishy. In fact, it was mud.
This is very strange, Groovis. Why isn't the ground hard and frozen and covered in snow?
Groovis lifted his nose and sniffed around. Then he stuck his nose into the mud and snuffled.
Bimpuff, do you know what I've discovered?
What is it, Groovis? What have you discovered?
I love mud. Bimpuff, I love mud.
I know that, Groovis. But why is it here?
Because of its stupendous conditioning qualities. Mends even the most stubborn split ends and makes my fur all nice and nubbly.
That's all good, Groovis. But why is it here right now?
Because, Bimpuff, it tastes terrific.
There was a tunnel that ran along the ground. The ceiling and walls were white snow, but all along that hollowed-out path the ground was warm and muddy.
This is a mystery, Groovis. We must follow this path and find out where it leads.
So they walked along the path, which twisted and turned till they got to a puddle of mud which was steamy and bubbling gently. A pungent odor permeated the passageway. Bimpuff turned to Groovis.
Oof, Groovis. Under normal circumstances, you know how much I deeply admire your olfactory artistry and the variety of textural tones and subtle scent sensations you are capable of producing. But Groovis, here in this tunnel? Sorry, but it's just too pungent a perfume to bear. I'm overwhelmed. I'm just about strangulating on it.
Bimpuff said, wobbling about dizzily.
But Bimpuff, it wasn't me. I mean, a few minutes ago, but not this time.
They both looked at the mud puddle. Splashing in the middle of it was a small figure. It was floating on its back and seemed to be enjoying itself. It was apparently washing and humming a happy tune. Every so often it would pause its song. Then Bimpuff and Groovis heard a loud and watched as a bubble grew out of the bath and rose into the air, where it hovered delicately until it popped, releasing an unbelievably foul spray of steam. This, Bimpuff realized, was the source of the stupendously stinky smell, which had been all but suffocating him in its putricity. Realizing he had blamed Groovis, he at once turned to his friend.
I'm sorry, Groovis, my friend, for wrongly accusing you. Your toots only bring me the purest pleasure. Will you please accept my sincerest apologies?
Yeah, all right.
Groovis blushed and smiled bashfully. The little creature looked up at them and hissed. Then it hopped out of the puddle. They saw that it had wings and what looked like sharp claws. Bimpuff and Groovis nervously backed away.
There you are! I've been looking everywhere for you, you rascal. And here you are, sliding off in a bath. You haven't even finished the work I paid you for yet. You know, I'm beginning to think even a squirrel might be more reliable than you. You lazy thing. Now get back to it. Get! I said get!
Bimpuff and Groovis spun around to see Darvasina Duwinia hanging upside down from the ceiling. The little creature looked at Bimpuff and Groovis again and hissed. Then it looked at Darvasina guiltily and trotted off, blowing out steam and tooting as it went.
So, you found my snow dragon. I've been looking all over for him, that lazy bones.
She dropped down to the floor and beamed.
He doesn't like strangers. He has very bad manners, and he can be a bit of a hothead. But he's useful for making tunnels so I can gather my ingredients even when they're buried under mountains of snow. Also, he's good for relighting my pilot lights when the power goes out, and he makes a mean creme brulee. Sorry he melted your tunnel and gave you a surprise hot air balloon ride. Without a balloon. Hey, since you're here, why don't you come in for a nice cup of hot slug cocoa with some swamp cream on top?
Bim Puff and Groovis were all over that like Snowdrag and Stench on mud. Then they all went out together and played in the snow until it was time to go home for supper.
La